Welcome back to the Pit Stop Ranch and our coverage of the Good Guys 2024 at Del Mar Fairgrounds in San Diego, California. Once again, we have returned. I think this is our third trip to this particular location and event. It's a good time. A very diverse cross section of Southern California cars and activities. We including a autocross, which we will be covering somewhat a little bit later in a little more detail than we have in the past. It's one of the regrets in my last coverages that when we got to the autocross, it was between runs or when they're making repairs on the course. This particular one, we had a good time. I didn't spend a lot of time on majority of the cars, and I don't cover every car there, so I'm afraid if you see something in the background and I don't go into any detail on, I apologize. A lot of the vehicles are ones we have seen at various different shows around Southern California, and you can check out all of our other videos on the channel regarding the different events. And here we go. Enjoy. Of course, there's plenty of background music, so we needed to go ahead and be careful with audio so that we don't find ourselves getting a copyright strike. So... I want to talk a little bit about my feeling on rat rods. I'm generally for them, though overly produced ones I am not a fan of. This particular one I appreciate quite a bit because it's clearly materials that are, all of them are used materials and, with some fabrication. And I really dig the fact it's Cadillac powered, early Cadillac powered V8. I like the proportions. I think this one was well executed. There's a little bit later on, there's an example of an overproduced one that is trying too hard to be a rat rod. To me, a ratty hot rod is one that's put together from the stuff you have available or can get relatively inexpensively just to get out and enjoy the hot rodding. Something where you spend $100,000 building a rat rod seems kind of off to me. Of course, we have several F100s, early 50s, mid 50s F100s sitting around at the ranch. Hopefully we'll get to them soon enough. This one I have questions about. It is supposedly a 40 Ford. It is heavily customized and well executed customization. There's no flaws in the execution of it, but I'm not a fan, to be honest with you. Of course, a bunch of other gorgeous cars. Had to stop and look at all of the 70s. Well, this is a AMX, so AMC is a close to my heart because of numerous Jeeps I've had with the AMC Straight Six. And of course, here's a Buick that, again, I got a kind of familiar predisposition towards Buicks. It was my grandparents' favorite make, and as I get older, I'm discovering why more and more I like them as well. Cyclones. I remember when these things were new, and they're some of the fastest things on the road. All-wheel drive, turbocharged, 4.3 liter V6 after they discontinued the G&X. They continued the development in the Cyclone and the Typhoon, which was, of course, the Blazer version of the Cyclone. Heck yeah. I am noticing more and more people painting their cars gray, both new and here. The only reason why you can't tell this is a primer job is because it's gorgeously shiny. It is striking, but for some reason, if it gets cloudy at all, you think it's primer. At least I do. Of course, Viper, always appreciated. Of course, a really strong Mustang showing at the show. Appreciate the 428 Corbojet in this thing. FE motor. Amazing how Ford really was able to extract a lot of power out of that power plant, given it was never really intended for that. Hell of a good truck engine, though. Okay, here we got a 71 Mustang, trout mouth Mustang, and I'm interested in it because we've got a Mach 1 that we are someday hopefully going to get to, that we're going to be doing a bunch of body splicing on because how rotten it is, with a 71 coupe that has much less rot on it. But it is fascinating because here we have 71 Camaro sitting next to the 71 Mustang, and it's just an interesting comparison back and forth of the two sitting right next to each other. I almost wonder if they know each other. I of course would go with the Camaro, but tell me your opinion in the comments. What would you do, 71 Camaro or 71 Mustang? Of course, amazing Merc. How can you go wrong with the chopped Merc, right? Never mind my hand. I'm just making sure the screen's there going. Now, this one was a light gray. So not more of a slightly off-white, bluish white, but in person it was a lot more gray. And it kind of spurred my thoughts regarding shiny gray. If it ever gets cloudy to it from sitting out or something, they kind of look like they're primer. But share your opinion. What do you think? Light gray or not light gray? Of course, the obligatory Tri-Fi Chevys everywhere, including this Nomad. One of those cars that has been extremely valuable. It'll be interesting to see how that goes as the younger generation comes in. Got a Disco Nova. I used to not like these cars because they weren't a proper Nova. But as time has gone on, I do appreciate them more and more. They're just being not smog exempt in California. They're kind of non-starter for me. Here we got a pair of 34 Ford coupes. This one here, the styling on it, the way it's set up, very much reminds me of 90s Foose styling, or a rip-off of 90s Foose type styling. Not sure if that's a fiberglass body or steel. And here we have a more traditional style. It looks like this with the louvers on the side are actually it's actually steel. Who knows if it's reproduction steel or actual Henry steel. But looking back and forth, share your thoughts. Which one you prefer? I like them both. This happened. This is a 69 Mustang. I took a few looks, to be honest with you. The side scoops and the way the front end looks reminds me very much of a 71 to 73. But yet it's definitely got the 69 haunches. So I don't know if this is a factory version or someone put this one together. I'd be curious If someone can enlighten us, obviously that's a aftermarket fiberglass hood. And then sitting next to it, of course, is another early second-gen Camaro. I'm not sure if it's exactly 71 or not, but JBA is just badass. Now, this has got a blown LS7 in it, which is a squirrely car. I imagine gentleman was trying to talk to a couple guys into buying it from him. This car here happens to actually be my favorite of the show. Unfortunately, as tight as it was hard to get in there and look at it, but it's a 421 Pontiac Super Duty Grand Prix. I would like one of these. 64, 65, I forget. But I would love one of these. I think that of the full-size GMB bodies, this is my favorite. And quite honestly, my favorite of the show. In spite of the fact there are amazing cars. Any one of these cars that show up at the show is going to be a crowd stopper in any parking lot or any local car show. So I never, if it doesn't, it's got to be something special that means something to me. And for some reason, BOP always plucks my heartstrings. So Buick, Oldsmobile, Pontiac always pluck my heartstrings more than just about any other make. A nice, 65, 66 Mustang Fastback. Another classic that you can't go wrong with. El Camino. To give you kind of a feel of the show and what it's like, here's kind of a relatively high-speed flyby of the interesting cars lined up. A bunch of Tri-Fis, obligatory Chevelles, Nomads, Novas. So, blown Chevelle there. Okay, Doc Hudson, a Hudson Hornet with a Tri-H power. These cars were the dominant car at NASCAR in the earliest days of NASCAR. And it wasn't necessarily because they were overly powerful. It was because the way the chassis was set up created a very low car, which gave them superior handling over everybody else's back when you actually had to race a quote-unquote stock car. So, in stock car race in the U.S. I had a little LCD screen set up there showing snippets of the cars. Neat little, Valiant. Classic 32 coupe, full fender, small block Chevy. Hard to go wrong with the 5-window. 32. I think I'd rather the 3-window. But now here is what I consider a bit of an overproduced, quote-unquote, rat rod. Honestly, the relatively stock Riviera sitting next to it, I like better. Then again, I already mentioned my mental illness of preferring BOPs over being my preferred cars. But yeah, everyone was goggling the rat rod next to it, and here I am busy lusting over the 63 Riviera. Everyone's mental illness comes out in different ways. Another beautiful Merc. God, it's hard to argue with the chop Merc, right? Prove me wrong. All right, here's a 2829 A pickup, roadster pickup with the Buick Nailhead in it. This thing's checking all the boxes for me. It looks really, I like the color on this. I mean, okay, don't get me wrong, it's baby diarrhea brown, but the Duval windshield, simple but effective interior. I'm not a huge fan of the 2829As, but this one works really good, sitting on 32 rails. I think it is a nice, very understated, very classy open wheel hot rod. I like the rims. I like everything about this car. If you disagree, you're welcome to do so, but you're wrong. Just accept you're wrong. This is the proportions are right. It's the right lights.
6-speed manual transmission. $26,688. What kind of animal built that pet car with a red marker? Rosie, that's her, Rosie Russell. With a red mark, Rosie Russell and a red marker. That's my new children's book. Yeah, my new children's book series. And Rosie already killed one cone. 2-liter, 4-cylinder, I think it's a turbo. I think. 2015 Ford Focus. Out there having a good time. Personal best is 29 with a plus. That's clean. Oh, 28,988 a plus 1. 240 SX, the Nissan or Nissan? Look at you digging in Long Island iced tea a little early this morning. You know, oh yeah, you can put it in. You don't get any blood power. Hurt? Privacy hurt? Oh man! And he hangs on to it, I love it! Alright. Plus one, only plus one, give it up. That was a good lap. He's just fun running today out there. And Mike Adams out there fun running today in this little orange 64 Nova. Purple best 27,798. That was today. He did 20. With those skinny little front tires. 28,032. And a cone. Thanks to our sponsors today and all season long, CBP Classic Performance Products. Willwood Disc Brakes, Autometer Gauges, Summit Racing Equipment, No Limit Engineering, Ford Line Racing Wheels, Optimus Batteries, the Extra Power Source, and the official power source of Goodguys. Team Center Choose the foundation, whether you choose to build on. Going to the C-Tech today. 25797. Wow. Is that clean? Nice. that thing eat. Wait, that's not Will. It is indeed. And then 26. 23. And 34. 24, 4, 25. Not going to get 3, 1. That's not Greg, I can tell. Way too far. Randy's out there, that good looking Sonic Blue Fox Body Mustang. Fun running with us today, 25, 125. Brandon's personal best in 27, 642. 27, 920. And he's off. Robert, 2003 Mustang Cobra 4.6 liter V8 under that hood. Personal best 25 and change. Jeremy, you got his number? 34. Keenan is not there, so 33. 26, 117. Jeremy the Professor, little 383. Research and development car, automated vehicles. No! There went the timer, ladies and gentlemen. We may be taking a unscheduled break.
And on that disappointing note, well, they fixed the autocross timing lights, went ahead and walked through the pits and checked out what we had. We're starting off with these two C8 Corvettes, affordable supercars, and the ZL1 Camaro, a supercar eater, very appropriate. I got fairly stock convertible Porsche 911. Pretty heavily modified. Oh shoot! It says right there. Apologize on that one. C6 Corvette. Gorgeous Z06 model. Couple Focuses, an RS, which are real animals, and an ST, which is definitely a much more streetable, ownable version of it. Kick-ass Nova with LS. A lot of these cars have a lot of the older cars. Well, I mean, trying to get these things to handle means you're going to be doing a lot of surgery underneath, including drivetrains. Here's the Nissan 240 that blitzed there in the setup. That Marauder is pretty sweet. Another Corvette, a C2 Corvette. some guys working on the car. A Fox body Mustang with a, actually, I really like that wide body kit. Now it's running the Boss 302 Coyote. Hard to argue with that drivetrain. It's a bitchin' drivetrain. Now this little Capri, Ford Capri rally car, that's pretty sweet. It's a Fox body, much like the Mustang, but it was a European focused one, and they were running turbo 4 cylinders in them. Now I don't know what this particular example has, but awesome, very awesome. A Ford F100 with the, is that a Ford F? Yeah, it's a Ford F100 with a LS motor in it. Hard to argue with. Nice Boss. Got the Boss emblem on it. Mustang fastback, 68 looks like. Looks like they made the vents work. Here's our test rig that was took out the lights, coming back, limping back in. Now this, I don't know, for some reason the 65 Mustang fastback, just the way it sat, especially when it's silhouetted slightly before, I don't know, the lines just look sexy, so sexy on that car. And of course, my favorite, or second favorite F-body, the Firebird of this generation being my most favorite, but I definitely love these Camaro. 66 Chevelle Super, or 67 Chevelle Super Sport. Got my 66 I hope to get working on before too long. Not a Super Sport though, just a 4-speed car. Though I have all the Super Sport hood and deck lid. I'm going to be doing something a little different. I don't want it. It was a homage or I don't want to say clone of a 66 SS at one point. Cadillac Coupe. Another AMC AMX, second one of the show. Good to see these cars getting some love. Like I said, I've got a special place in my heart for AMCs, even if their proportions are a little bit different. You know, that kind of makes them cool. Of course, had to spend a second on the Pontiac Tempest convertible. Not a convertible guy, but give me that 60s Pontiac any day of the week. A Tempest or Le Mans of this vintage would be an excellent addition to my collection, even though I don't need another A body. I'm good on the A bodies, but another one of these would be pretty. Oh, excuse me, not a Tempest. It's a Le Mans. My bad. Going for a quick stroll through the swap meet section. Some interesting stuff. Nothing that I was willing to drop a dime on, but. This little Buick here, 10K seems awful steep, especially for a non-smogable car, smog-exempt car. Plenty of nice gauges. Seen this guy before. Probably Matt from from Iron Trap would love to go through there and pick out all the cool ones if they haven't already been picked over. This Lincoln, let's see, we get a price on that? No, I don't see a price right there. It's fairly complete, but it is a rough car. Restoring it is not a trivial task, since I don't know how much aftermarket is available for these cars. I think it would be a good donor car, a good parts car for someone who had something that was a little less rough, but it's an advanced level restoration. Missing the front glass like that makes it a challenge. And here's a Franklin. Now, these are interesting because these are air-cooled inline sixes. You'll see that in a second. Talk about next level restoration. Now, the fact that you don't have to worry about a cooling system, or the cooling system consists of making sure the blower fan works and all the tin is properly in place, and all the fins are clean and straight on the engine itself, is a necessity. But other than that, it makes it a lot simpler. And unfortunately, with wooden wheels, This section here is the winner's circle. These are all the cars that won in a particular class. I didn't spend a lot of time here. This international Travelall, they grafted with a Raptor, or put it on a Raptor chassis. I've seen it before. It's a cool car, cool truck. But 32 Roadster pickup. Lots of fun stuff. Really cool. Enjoy. All right, and I guess this was the best GTO of the show, or something along those lines. It's a pretty car, and like I said, it checks my boxes. 65 GTO, I believe. You're welcome to correct me if I am incorrect. Yeah, it's hard to argue with GTO, and Pontiac, as I've expressed repeatedly so far, is kind of my favorite. Pretty awesome machine. Here we have a club that just does LS swapped vehicles. That's local to San Diego. I think that is that's pretty cool. It's a neat premise for a club. Gotta love the G body Monty with the LS motor in it. Nice combination. I think if I had a G body, it'd get an LS motor. It's so hard to argue with LS motor. They're not pretty motors. There's things you can pretty them up with, but they're not. It's really hard to beat them currently for bang for your buck, performance for the dollar. But now we're going to go ahead and do kind of a bit of a speed run through a couple of buildings. Now this is supposed to be a 265 small block, so very appropriate, very unusual because a 265 small block Chevy was only like a 1 year engine, 1 or 2 year engine. But got to spend some time on these 32s with the traditional hot rods. Now I heard someone jokingly say that the difference between a hot rod and a show rod is a hot rod has a toolbox in the trunk and a show rod has a lawn chair in the trunk. So share your thoughts on that. Now this is a fairly famous gasser, and I've seen it at a few different shows. It's nice. It's cool seeing it all restored. The only other way to present this car would be as a survivor if the paint wasn't trashed or something. But it was a big winner back in its day, and it was kind of a great. If you want to know what a gasser is, that's it. You can't get any more traditional gasser than that. Beautiful 57 Chevy. Let's see, 30. No, I don't know what that is. Sorry. Pantera, the first one of the show, the first one that I saw at the show. Very awesome cars. These are going for some pretty ridiculous money more. There used to be you could get a Pantera for pretty affordable, believe it or not, but now collectors have jumped on them, and they're now getting rather expensive. But is what it is. Here we got a 32 Roadster Survivor, it looks like, with a nail head in it. It's ticking some boxes, I'm telling you. Here we got a 29 Ford Model A Tudor, much like the one I have in my backyard. And it's got a banger in it, or a hot rodded banger in it, with a 32 grill. I dig it. I think it's pretty cool that there's becoming increasingly a following for the old bangers and the speed equipment for them. There's a whole movement going on for them. So I appreciate that. When I was a kid, this 34 Ford with the Mustang 2 front end, blown small block. This was the car show queen. This was everyone. This is where they wanted to end up at. Very much a late 80s, early 90s style hot rod build, all the way down to the steering wheel. It's kind of interesting that now this is being considered that isn't blown, that's tunnel rammed small block. It's not a blower in there. Here we got a nail head in a T-bucket. Very reminiscent of some of the stuff that we're looking to do. We got our T-Bucket. We got our T-Bucket race car, and then we've got another T-Bucket hot rod project coming down the pike. I'll be discussing with you shortly. So some stuff we can do. Now this is very interesting. This is I think this is a Plymouth and a looks like a small block Ford in it. Maybe it's a 340. My interest in this car was the front end. I have been contemplating trying to do like a 33, 34 with a high performance handling package, like a real modern race car handling package type thing. So I took some interest in this car because that's obviously kind of going down the path that they're working on. Now looks like they've stretched the nose out. They got a completely custom front end on there, everything firewall forward. So I wanted to take a minute to look at it. Here's a 68 fastback. A lot of the good stuff. Now, probably my second or third favorite car. Take a guess. Pontiac, Tempest, no Le Mans. Yeah, I would really love to have this car here. A little shiny for me, to be fair. It's a little, most of these cars are a little shiny for me. And because my concern is, of course, I actually want to drive it to the grocery store, and I don't want to be paranoid. A random cart or a kid opening the door too far is going to ruin my car. So I'm of the minority that where I can appreciate shiny. I'm not going to really spend a lot of time making my stuff shiny. Now, here is a great gasser. I think we keep talking about putting together a gasser. We got a line on one or two chassis that might make an excellent gasser option. Altered wheelbase gasser like that one, but someday maybe. This car is clearly bagged. Not sure. Here's a Model A Roadster banger. I saw this car. This car was out at the Top Secret Dirt Track Oval, and man, the guy was throwing it around. Justin, he was. I think that's his name. Forgive me if I'm wrong, if I attribute the wrong person, but man, he was going to town and having just a hoot with it. If you go back and watch that video from a couple weeks ago, that car's driven hard. Now I do like this is it 32 sedan. I think it's a Tudor. Yeah, Tudor. That first gen, that Gen 1 big block Chevy in it, I think that is awesome. I think, to me, the engine choice is almost as important as everything else when you're putting together a car like that, because the engine says a lot. If you want to just go fast for the money, toss a supercharged or blown or forced induction LS motor in it and get your 1,000 horsepower and go. Now, this car is particularly interesting because this is another example of a T-Bucket race car. Now, it's cut down, the turtle deck has been grafted into the body, and it has a track nose. And the total combination, that aerodynamic combination like that, I think is sexy. And that's kind of the direction we want to go with the T-Bucket Roadster hot rod that we've got, though I don't think we're going to graft the turtle deck into the body like that. But I definitely appreciate that. Classic 32 5-window. Okay, now we're in the lowrider room. This is an extremely noisy room and a lot of people enjoying them. And it's interesting seeing all the kids who are just gaga over these beautiful, shiny cars, and all sorts of different people actually looking at them and appreciating the workmanship, of course. And I've gone on in years past and on about just the sheer number of hours put into these rolling pieces of artwork. I'm going to go through this relatively quickly. Unfortunately, I'm not going to spend a lot of give any of the cars the amount of time they actually deserve. I have covered a lot of these individual cars in a lot more detail in other videos when I'm discussing the overall lowrider movement and what it represents to our shared hobby. But yeah, enjoy as kind of a speed run through the lowrider section. Now it's interesting because the other car I just showed, the early 50s Chevy, late 40s, early 50s Chevys, they're kind of lowrider tangent. They're a bomb. And though they're not the same as a lowrider, a lot of times they get clumped together. They were the prototype to the lowrider movement. Lowriders typically were the late 50s, early 60s GM products, where the bomb is specifically a late 40s through early 50s, pre-55, 54, for 39 to 54 Chevy sedans and pickups specifically, where lowriders were generally Impalas, full-size GMs, but as you saw there, that one was technically a variation of the A-body, the Monte Carlo. And as the raw material, the 55, 54 Impalas have become astronomically valuable. You're seeing more and more creatively done lowriders using other cars, like 58 Chevy. There's a couple 58 Chevy Impalas here. You're seeing Monte Carlos. Here's a C10. You'll also see the Lincolns, like this one here, being turned into lowriders. A proper lowrider. Here's a Buick Regal G-body lowrider. Another Lincoln Classic 70s slab, I think is what some people call it. There's some bombs. So incredibly awesome, very positive, family-oriented car community, the lowrider community. If you spend any time around any of those guys, they're a hell of a lot of fun. Go out there. I love talking about the cars. Go up, check them out, talk to them. And we're into, actually, this is the first building, but I covered it last on my way out. Kind of ran through. Cool cars, gorgeous cars. Every single one of these is a showstopper. Enjoyed my time through there, though, to be fair, I was getting a little tired at this point of my adventure. And so I kind of covered a lot of this a little bit quick, but enjoy it. And we had a lineup of some incredible Mustangs here, and this is where we're going to go out with the Mustang Club of San Diego. I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed very much the show once again. Very eclectic, very well put together. We got this really amazing wide body, fox body Mustang, all dolled up, looking pretty sweet. Spending a lot of time on these distributors of these fox bodies because I'm curious why theirs seems to be a lot more reliable than ours. They all seem to be running the stock hardware like we are. A lot of them are. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe. And on this note, I wish you all a fond adieu and have a Mustang-tastic day, a hot rod-tastic day. Have a good guys-tastic day.